verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Jesus unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come, that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold, and one shepherd. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father. There was a division therefore again among the Jews for these sayings. And many of them said, He hath a devil, and is mad. Why hear ye him? Others said, These are not the words of him that hath a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind? And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him, and said unto him, How long dost thou make us doubt? If thou be Christ, tell us plainly. Jesus answered them, I told you, and ye believed not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But ye believe not, because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish.
Hey, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barshem Rakakodashe. Much mercy to you sincere brothers out there, the true house of David. All you brothers that are actually in the spirit, that can understand the Lord's covenant, and that really understand and believe. The scriptures tell you that all men that believe are justified. So that means that certain Gentiles and certain heathens and anybody that believes are justified. If you don't believe, then you're not justified. So if you're in these camps and you really don't believe and you're teaching false doctrine, then you're not justified. You're not justified by false doctrine. You're not justified by teaching elders doctrine. You know, you're not justified by that. And I'm gonna say this, man. These elderlies, I call them elderlies, these guys in these camps, certain of them, they are going to teach the old law till they die. Because I seen one of these guys, they posted the new moon and all that. These guys are stuck on new moons. And we know, according to Isaiah, the first chapter, that the Lord was letting you know that he's not hearing no new moons or no feast days or none of that shit you guys are holding for the old law. So we understand, like a lot of you guys don't, and you're teaching under these guys and these elders and shit, and you're in these groups teaching that Gentiles can't be saved. You're teaching the new covenant's not here, and you're teaching all these heresies and false doctrines, and you don't understand because you don't really believe that you're setting your own soul up, and everybody that follows you, you're setting your own soul up for eternal damnation by teaching men not to believe in the Lord right now, and teaching men the Gentiles can't believe, or the Gentiles can't be saved. The brother broke down the Samaritans. We've broken down the Samaritans. We've broken down the Lord being glorified. And we've broken down how when the Lord was actually glorified, then the campaign to the Gentiles started on a heavy level with Paul. We've already broken that down. And a lot of you guys are rejecting it, because you think salvation is just for Israel, and you're teaching a false doctrine that's going to get you damned. But it's not up to you guys in these camps. It's not your call. It's not what you say. You don't have the final judgment on none of this. And that's why the Lord set us up. You see what I'm saying? To actually give you further understanding. So we're going to go into John 10, and we're going to go into certain characteristics of guys that's cursed teaching the Bible. A lot of guys are cursed teaching, and they're in the same spirit that the Lord had to deal with right here in John 10, because these guys, they called the Lord a devil, and the Lord brought a division. And that's what we are bringing in this time. We are bringing a division. And we understand that certain guys believe what we're saying, and then a lot of guys hate what we're saying. So that is the division. You know, you either love what we're saying and teaching, or you either hate it. And these guys in these groups, they are going to teach false doctrine until they're judged. Guys are just set up to teach you lies and not to have no mercy on nobody. And by them teaching that certain Gentiles can't make it, or salvation ain't for the Gentiles, or whatever these guys are teaching that's false, they don't understand. By them teaching that, the Lord doesn't have mercy on their ass. All right. And the other night I seen the video these guys did on what the guy did the video on something going into how love and shit. These guys don't have no love, man. They don't have no love. They're teaching false doctrine. That's not love, bro. Guys are they're good at teaching shit and talking. That's all they're good at. But they really don't have no fruits of the spirit. They've never been in the spirit. And we tell guys, man, we tell you, like, you've never been in the spirit. You're just teaching a camp doctrine. The spirit of the new covenant is not a camp doctrine. We didn't learn this from elders. You elders, you don't have nothing to do with the new covenant. And, one guy was saying that, where did we learn this? Well, the understanding, the camp doctrine, yeah, everybody, you're teaching everybody camp doctrine. You're teaching everybody Esau, and you're teaching everybody that the Gentiles can't make it. That's what you're teaching. Not understanding that, according to Ephesians, the Lord came to break down that middle wall of partition. So we see guys that's not in the spirit. Even you certain guys in the new covenant that's trying to hold men to the old law, that don't understand what the Lord did. He came to break down that wall where certain Gentiles can come into the fold. They can actually be delivered off their understanding. So certain Gentiles will be delivered in this time. It's not up to you guys. It's not up to none of you guys. It's not. Even though you hate it, but it's not up to you. It's not up to your elder. It's not up to none of you guys teaching that false shit you're teaching. So what we're teaching is mercy, because through the Lord that you guys say that you follow Yahushua, when you guys actually don't. So it's like, how can you break down the new covenant and the New Testament when you don't even agree with that testament or that covenant? How can you break that down? And you guys are not breaking it down because you don't understand it. And all you guys holding to Moses, you really don't have no understanding, man. And, I've dealt with guys where they can't be corrected and they don't have an understanding. And guys, they hate being corrected and they don't have the understanding and they're not really in the spirit. But this is what discernment is about. It's about you discerning guys that are not really in the spirit, but they can teach you a bunch of fucking things that don't really matter. Like men teaching you to keep the old law. That shit does not matter, you keeping the old law. That means that you're defying following the Lord's Son that he said he was pleased with. You're defying that, saying, hey, well, we got to follow the old law. You guys, you don't have no fucking understanding holding to Moses. And you're a reprobate. And that's just the truth. And all these camps are teaching you to follow the old laws. So they're all reprobates. It don't really matter if certain of them be like, oh, well, the old law is this. Then what is your action showing? Is your action showing that you really believe in the Lord and the new covenant? Or is your action showing you're still holding old laws and old covenant? Guys are losing so much they have to say that angels are in their videos. You got to really understand what's going on in this last day, bro. And we've been built up in this. We've been built up in the faith. We've been built up in the understanding where we could just tell you guys, hey, this is exactly what this is. We're not getting nothing out of this, We don't get nothing out of this telling you lies, but they do. You got to understand, certain guys get something out of this telling you lies and teaching you misunderstandings. And we're telling you, according to Paul in Acts 13 and Ephesians, where it tells you about the middle wall of partition. That is a very heavy thing, the middle wall of partition, because the Lord broke that wall down where certain men, certain men can actually understand and believe in the Lord and be delivered of other nations. And this is what the Lord did. So when you take away from the glory that the Lord did, then you don't have no understanding. And they're telling you to wait on the covenant and new bodies. That's all false doctrine. You will not receive a new body denying the covenant. You're not going to receive a new body. A lot of you guys are eternally damned. So are you cursed or are you redeemed right now? I'm talking about right now. Right now in the body you in, do you actually understand the Lord and his covenant? Or actually are you against it? And some of you guys teaching the new covenant, I'm going to just say this. And I'm going to get on with this lesson. A couple guys this past week, and you don't have to like me or none of that shit, but I see like you'll leave certain guys, you'll say shalom to the brothers and shit, you'll say peace to them, and then they'll delete your comment off of their video. So we see like certain guys, they have ulterior motives, and they don't even understand the Gentiles themselves, and they're teaching misunderstandings. They might say they're teaching you the new covenant, but then they have hate in their heart. See, us brothers, we don't have hate in our heart because we love teaching this for what it is. We're not hiding the Gentiles. A lot of you're ashamed of the gospel. And this is what Paul meant real quick. Let me grab this, man. I got to grab this. Because a lot of you're really ashamed of the gospel. Yeah, guys are ashamed of the Lord, man. It is crazy. Yeah, guys are ashamed of the Gentiles believing and coming in. They're provoked to jealousy. So you see these guys doing these videos. They're actually trying to break down Paul in Acts 21. And at the same time, they're telling you that Gentiles can't be saved. You see what I'm saying? So they don't have the understanding of the breakdowns. Their elders don't have the understanding of the new covenant. These guys that are holding you to the old law, they don't have the understanding of the new covenant. Romans 9 and 33. As it is written, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone, a rock of offense. So a lot of guys, they're offended at the new covenant. They don't really believe in this like that. This is something that guys are just doing to get views and likes. This is what this guy told me. He said, hey, like the video. So we see what guys are really in it for. They're not in it for the real understanding. They're in it to push an agenda and get likes. And a lot of brothers understand that we're not in that for this. We're not in that for that. They understand that. Brothers understand what we're doing this for. And it's actually working what we're doing. Because what the world clings to is not what we're teaching. The world doesn't understand. Romans 9 and 33. It says, as it is written, behold, I lay a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and so whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. You don't understand that whosoever, this is pertaining to Gentiles too. Because you guys are not spiritual, like the brother say, and I agree, you made this thing a race thing. And that proves that your elders and all you guys in these camps, you're carnal, because this ain't about race anymore. It's about who actually believes. So now when you really look at this thing and what guys are teaching, you could tell that guys don't really believe. They don't have an understanding. Whosoever believeth shall not be ashamed. So we're not ashamed of Gentiles believing. Romans 1 and 16, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of the anointed, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth. These guys be talking about some salvation ain't for the Gentiles, and then they don't never bring these scriptures out. Because a lot of guys, they're set up on an agenda. And I can't stand guys breaking the scriptures down wrong, and they don't have no spiritual understanding. Because like the Lord said, it is not given unto them. This mystery is really not given unto everybody, and you can actually see that for yourself. Romans 1 and 16, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of the anointed. It is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believe. To everyone that believe. So all you guys that's pushing this doctrine, or you're pushing the old covenant where the Gentiles, they didn't have no place in the old covenant. And that's true. But you can't hold on to that and then try to teach the New Testament or the New Covenant and say, hey, well, the Gentiles can't make it. So that proves you really don't have no understanding of what the Lord came to do. And it's not about the old law of Numbers and Leviticus and Exodus. It's not about that old Exodus and that old Passover. Hey, if you really don't have the Lord in you like that and you're teaching the old law, it shows. You really don't have anything to do with this new covenant. Romans 1 and 16, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of the anointed. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. A lot of you guys are ashamed to push and understand that the Lord, he brought the Gentiles in the new covenant. Now, this didn't happen in the old covenant. It happened in the new because the Lord broke down that wall of partition. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of the anointed, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believe, to the Jew first, and also the Greek. So you guys teaching false doctrine, when the Lord said, teach this gospel unto everybody, a lot of you guys, you're damned in this last day. Matthew 28 and 19, go ye therefore and teach all nations. So now this is after the fact the Lord died on the cross and he came back on the third day. He's telling the disciples now, go teach all nations now. Because before he was telling you not to go to the Samaritans. Now, after the Lord was glorified, now he has the power by Matthew 28. So what we're teaching, a lot of you guys, you do not understand what we're teaching, and it's not in you to understand what we're teaching because you're not really of God. The first sign, guys, are not of God. They're holding you to the old law. Not understanding that the old law don't apply for these times because the Lord broke down that middle wall partition real quick. Let's go to this real quick. Yeah, so this new covenant, it gives you eyes to see. It gives you understanding to see this thing for what it really is. So guys are breaking the scriptures down, not understanding what the Lord actually came and did. He came and broke down that wall for the Gentiles that were grafted in. They were grafted into this. You're grafted in through your belief. Can't no group or no elder or none of these guys stop you from being grafted in of your belief. Now, if you don't believe, you're not grafted in. But if you believe, you're grafted in, and the Lord, and you're grafted into the Lord. Can't nobody stop that. It don't matter what these groups are teaching at this point. It don't matter what nobody's teaching, as long as you understand and you believe. This has nothing to do with the old law, because through the old law, you could not, that middle wall of partition was not breaking down. Ephesians 2:14. So now in the new covenant, the middle wall has been broken down. So now we can tell who's redeemed, because who's actually teaching the understanding of the Gentiles, and then who's actually against the understanding of the Gentiles. So you got a lot of false prophets in this last day. Ephesians 2:14, for he is our power, who have made both one and have broken down the middle wall of partition between us. You see that? So when you say the Gentiles can't make it, then you're taking away from the glory what the Lord did in breaking down the wall, the middle wall of partition. It's heavy what's happening, man. You can't make this up. And so these guys in these camps, they don't have the understanding of the New Testament and the New Covenant. First of all, they deny it. So how the fuck are they breaking down the New Covenant in 1 Corinthians 15? Or, how are you breaking that down when you're not in that covenant yet? The New Covenant is everything of the New Testament. So when you go to the New Testament and you deny the Gentiles and you deny what the Lord did, and then you teach men can't nobody be saved but Israel, then you're denying the Lord, bro. And what he actually did when he died. That is actually a heavy penalty that you guys don't even understand. Matthew 10:33. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. So guys are denying the Lord, teaching that the Gentiles can't make it. This is heavy because the Lord broke down that middle wall. So you're denying that when you say salvation ain't for the Gentiles. And I just read it. It's unto the Jew and then the Greek. Oh yeah, and then I look up that word, and what was that, 1 Corinthians 12, when it tells you that any man that speaks of Yahushua, he's not gonna, if you're in the spirit, you're not gonna speak against the new covenant. But when Paul was going into, what was that, 1 Corinthians 12, he was actually going to actual Gentiles. This whole new covenant is actually to the Gentiles and the believers. So all of you that believe in the Lord, you're justified. And don't worry about what these camps are talking about. These are false prophet camps set up to hold you in the old law. Like a lot of guys in the new covenant, they're set up to hold you in the old law. And certain guys that are teaching, like I say, you'll say shalom to these guys on their live streams and they'll delete your comment. So we understand a lot of you guys of the new covenant, you're teaching in hate. And you know who you are that's doing that shit. But that's cool, because like the Lord said, if you say peace to somebody and they don't accept it or whatever, you let your peace return unto you. And this is what we do. We don't worry about it, man. We wasn't here to drive nobody wrong, but we see a lot of guys hate us. Even certain guys in the new covenant. And it's like, well, what did we do but try to correct you? So what we understand out of this too, out of teaching, is that a lot of guys, they're not going to like you for correcting them. A lot of guys can't accept correction. And you're not of the Lord. because you have that spirit of Satan on you. And this is why Satan got his ass cast out of heaven, because he didn't want to take the correction and all those things that were going on with Adam. Even dealing with Enoch, Enoch was judging the angels. So certain of these evil spirits, they couldn't really fathom how man is going to be, how man was judging them. And this is what it means that men shall judge angels, because Enoch was judging the angels. But a lot of you guys that are teaching the Bible, you are in no shape to judge anything. You're teaching false doctrine. So the Lord's not dealing with you. Who's dealing with you are wicked guys on this earth that's dealing with Satan. So what I want to do, I want to go back to John 10. I probably just went on a little tantrum, but what they're doing with us in this last time, they're saying that we have a devil, and they're saying that the new covenant is a demon. What you got to understand, if you're actually of the Lord, you would never say no shit like that. It's just that you guys you're hooked up on a camp doctrine. And so that camp doctrine is not going to allow you to really see the full spectrum of what the Lord did in his glory. When you say the Gentiles can't make it, you don't know, you're denying the Lord's glory. When you say the Gentiles can't make it, you're denying what the Lord actually did. When you don't understand that the new covenant is already here in men, they're part of that covenant by blood. When you say it ain't here, then you're denying that the Lord put the covenant in certain men in the first century. You're denying that. You don't need a new body to believe in the Lord. You guys are teaching that new body shit, and you're not going to get a new body. You're going to be cut off. All you guys teaching false doctrine, you're going to be cut off forever. This your glory. This world was your glory. Because it's heavy because you really don't believe. So it's like we can't make you really see and understand how serious this is. But because you guys don't really believe, we can't really make you understand what the new covenant is about. So you have guys that don't really believe. They're teaching you the old law and hold the old law because they really don't believe. They think this is a joke. But really, they're the joke because they really didn't have the understanding of the Lord and the doctrine. John 10:19. There was a division, therefore, again among the Jews for these sayings. So there's many divisions actually happening in this time for the things that we're saying. And what's heavy in this time is that a lot of guys are teaching and they're blinded from really understanding this thing. So by this time, you're either redeemed or you're cursed teaching the Bible. And a lot of guys, they're cursed. They're rejecting the Gentiles and then they're adding the old law into it. None of this has nothing to do with the old law. So if you're adding the old law into it, that means the new laws of the Lord are not in you. And guys are teaching you that the old laws are in you. That's not what the Lord came to do. You really don't have no understanding. And I tell you this, all you guys that's teaching with hate and you really don't have no understanding, you're blinded from this. You really don't have no understanding of the Gentiles. And we know a lot of you guys, you don't even understand the Gentiles at all. And that's a real big stumbling block because you're not going to be in the kingdom not understanding the Gentiles. You're not going to make it to the kingdom. A lot of you guys are teaching for no reason. You're still bound to the old law, teaching men the old law. So you haven't been redeemed. You're either cursed or you're either redeemed in this last day. And through the doctrine that guys are teaching, you can tell that they're cursed. And they have the world following them. Because like that guy in Texas, he's worried about you liking the video. He's a total reprobate. And all you guys are reprobates following that old law. That means you don't believe in the Lord. When you follow the old law like that, that means you don't believe in the Lord. John 10 and 19, there was a division therefore again among the Jews for these things. And many of them said, he have a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? And the brother did the video how these guys be calling the new covenant a demon. It's a devil. You guys are demon for teaching the new covenant. You guys are in the spirit of the Antichrist. So either if you sold your soul or you're just ignorant of the understanding, a lot of you guys are in a time where you're going to be cut off forever. After this, you're going to be cut off because you're in the spirit of hate. That spirit of hate is going to be cut off. It says, and many of them said, he have a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? Others said, these are not the words of him that have a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind? So this is what's happening. Like, us brothers are opening certain brothers' eyes that are blind. And then certain guys are saying, like, them guys are devils. They're the new covenant demons. And then certain brothers are saying, hey, man, them brothers are teaching what it really is. And this is the same thing that happened to the Lord. Now it says, and it was at Jerusalem at the feast of the dedication, and it was winter, and Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said to him, how long dost thou make us doubt? If thou be the anointed, tell us plainly. And Yahushua answered them and told, he says, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But ye believe not, because you are not of my sheep, as I have told you. So because guys can't understand the new covenant, they're not of the Lord's sheep. They don't believe in this. Trust me, man, if guys really believe, they understand that it is a place of torment. But because guys don't really fucking believe, they're teaching false doctrine because they really don't believe in hell or nothing. So they're teaching false doctrine, and they're teaching this word for the world, and they're teaching it for money because they really don't believe in this at all. They think it's a joke. But we're showing you that this thing ain't a joke. And we're letting you know that the Lord broke down that middle wall of partition. So a lot of guys right now, they're teaching cursed. You see, you either have been redeemed to the understanding, or you've been cursed to the understanding. So when you go into the tares and the wheats, you have certain few men that are of God, and then you have certain men that are not of God, and they're teaching false doctrine to the best of their ability. That's what they're doing. They're teaching false doctrine to the best of their ability. You see, they're not even keeping the old law. They're teaching false doctrine because they don't have no understanding. They're all carnal, and they're doing their best to teach the most false doctrine they can. Because for one, guys don't have no understanding. And for two, certain guys are set up against this new covenant. And you got to understand, a lot of guys, they just don't have no understanding. Matthew 13 and 36, and then it says, and then when Yahushua sent the multitude away, the anointed, and went into the house, his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares in the field. So they wanted a little bit more understanding of the tares and the wheats. So when brothers coming over here, we give you the complete understanding. So you're a tare if you don't understand the Lord broke down that middle wall of partition, and certain Gentiles are able to be saved through the new covenant. So if you don't understand that, you're a tare. And if you're teaching false doctrine, you're a tare. Matthew 13 and 37. And he answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the seed of man. So the good seed is teaching the Lord and his testimony and what he actually did. Like he actually broke down that middle wall of partition so certain Gentiles can come in. So if you're not teaching that, then you're not a good seed. And you can see like the good seeds, they're all out there in the world. It says the field is the world, and the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. So if guys are teaching you false doctrine and they're holding you to the old law and they're telling you that the Gentiles can't be saved in this time, they're the seed of the wicked one. Because when you say that the Gentiles can't make it, then you don't understand what the Lord did when he died on the cross. You don't understand what Paul was teaching. And that's good you don't understand it, because this ain't meant for you. It says the enemy that sold them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. So the tares that's teaching false doctrine, you're going to go into a quenchable fire. You're going to be rubbed out. So this will be the last time you guys will be teaching false doctrine. There's no coming back in the kingdom with that spirit. That spirit of teaching men lies for fame and likes and views and all that. That spirit is going to die off. And there's not going to be a righteous spirit on the planet. So there's an eternal judgment coming that's going to get rid of guys that's teaching false doctrine and that have sold their soul. A lot of guys, they sold their soul, so they're obligated to teach you lies. Matthew 13:40, as therefore the tares are gathered and burnt in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. So all you guys that are false prophets and that are false brethren teaching lies, you're going to be gathered and you're going to be burnt. So you don't have the testimony teaching men that the Gentiles can't be saved. That means you're ashamed of the gospel. And a lot of you are provoked to jealousy. So I just wanted to bring that out. Let me get out of here, man. I think that's pretty much enough to understand for right now. A lot of you guys are tares teaching false doctrine and holding men to the old law and the flesh. And so by you teaching the old law and holding men to the flesh, you don't understand what the Lord did in the first century by breaking that middle wall of partition. You guys are stuck on the old law. So long as you're stuck on the old law, you're teaching false doctrine. And a lot of you guys are going to be damned. And you're going to be cut off forever by you not really having understanding. Let's read this again. Matthew 13:40. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. So the tares, and the scripture tell you that it's going to be bundles of tares. So I want to go into this a little bit more. You brothers, man, repent to the new covenant, increase your understanding, and pray to the Lord to give you more understanding. That's what I've done. I've always done that, man. You know, I pray to the Lord for more understanding. The Lord has given me a lot of understanding. It's so much understanding that I had to take my time with and understand everything the Lord's given me. So what we're giving you, brothers, is the real understanding of the Lord. And we're not paid to teach you false doctrine. We're not getting money to teach you false doctrine. We're teaching you the truth, which you have to understand on your own. And you have to believe in the Lord and his son and what they actually did. And there are men and there are forces that are set up to hold you to the old law or to keep you in doubt. That's what these camps are set up for. These camps, they are ashamed of the Gentiles. They are ashamed of the gospel. This is the main reason why, this is half of the reason why they stoned Paul, because Paul brought Greeks into the temple. And that happened in Acts 21, which guys don't understand. But I do another one to this, man. You brothers got to understand what's going on in this last day. You're either cursed, you're either teaching curse. If you're teaching curse, then you're all of the world. And you're teaching men to hold new moons and Passovers and wear old garments. You're cursed teaching that. The scriptures tell you you're cursed under that law, so it don't make no sense for you guys to try to break down Galatians when you're teaching men you're teaching men to be cursed. But if you're teaching men that all men that believe are justified and you can be delivered off of your belief, man. You're of the Lord, man, and you're of the wheat. The tares are teaching false doctrine and unbelief, but the wheat are actually teaching the kingdom. And this is this over here, and what the Lord was really saying. It don't have nothing to do with camp doctrine. That camp doctrine is going to get you destroyed. Repent to the new covenant. And with that, shalom.